Okay, so we can start. Last conference of the day. I hope you've enjoyed so far. Sebastian is coming directly from Poland. So our first foreigner speaker, if I'm not mistaken, English-speaking speaker. So he's an iOS developer specializing in AR kits. He's passionate about technology and has a background in, of course, mobile app development. And well, he's constantly pushing the boundaries of augmented reality experiences. So please give a warm applause to Sebastian.
Thank you. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Or I should say bonsoir. So today I would like to talk about Godot, game engine, and well, let's first introduce myself. So I'm currently consultant in B3, but I'm helping Varjo company preparing a new app, and actually it was released today in the App Store. So you can check it. It's called Teleport by Varjo. We wanted to call it just Teleport, but it was name was taken by some taxi company in Bolivia. So we had to call it Teleport by Varjo. And basically the app lets you capture your surroundings, and using Gaussian splats, I will later talk about it a bit, you can have a 3D reconstruction of the scene. And Varjo company manufactures VR headsets, and you can like teleport to that place using those VR headsets. So as already mentioned, I'm an augmented reality virtual reality aficionado and a proud father of a 4-year-old tornado. Right, so what is Godot? Well, maybe as a warm-up, I would like to ask you, how many of you played video games? How many of you tried building your own game? Perfect. I hope that after my presentation, everyone in this room will love to test also Godot. So, in the game dev world, we can distinguish 3 popular game engines. First one is Unreal, second is Unity, and third is Godot. I will not mention about game engines like Anvil from Ubisoft, because those are internal tools, and it's hard to develop without a specific knowledge and the documentation, official documentation. There's a Korean engine, but I think we can stick with those 3. So about Godot, it was launched in 2014. It's free and open source, and it's also community driven. It means that everyone can raise an issue and discuss it publicly, and like decide what should be done in what direction and what process should be there. Also, this is a cross-platform game engine, so you can prepare for mobile, PC, Mac, or web. There is also a possibility to do it for the consoles, but I will talk about it later. It's not so easy. So how Godot got so much interest in 2023? How many of you did hear about Godot? Okay, nice. And before 2023, did someone try it? Oh, nice, perfect. So why it became so popular nowadays? This is Google Trends, and maybe someone did recognize. This is September 2023. This is a term, Godot game engine. And do you know what happened in September 2023? Yes, the answer is Unity. They decided to shoot in their foot by informing about changes in the pricing model. Each installation performed by the client would charge 50 cents the studio. Many articles were misleading. I was also thought about it, that, oh no, that's terrible. But they wanted to charge only games with more than 200,000 downloads. But they resigned from it after public reaction, but it was already too late. Some indie studios started to inform that they are moving to other game engines, and guess which one? Okay, too fast. So that leads us to the next topic. You have an idea for a game, let's say a mobile one. You have a question, which game engine I should pick? If you want to have a game only available on one platform, let's say iOS, the choice is simple, use Apple SpriteKit or SceneKit if it's 3D. You will get a full advantage of the native solution, and it's all written in Swift. But if you want to obtain more audience and attention to your game, it's better to make a cross-platform game. Then Godot is a good choice. You have a shared code base, and I will show you in a minute. Easily you can export to Android, Mac, PC. Later, we will talk about the specific plugins for iOS, for example. Okay, okay, too quick. Okay, it should start. All right. So those three gameplays are showing a small demo game. The game is called Barbarian Blaster, and there is no additional code to each of the platform written. All is handled by the engine. In project settings, it could be changed, but basically the inputs, for example, for mouse click, were translated into the tab on the mobile device. So in code, I don't have to handle differently. So you can see here, it's just a one project, and I have exported it to 3 different platforms. And of course, there could be more: Android, PC, Linux. So we talked about when you should use it. The question now is when Godot is a not good choice. So let's talk about game development process. First, we have an idea. We start with the characters and storylines. We then need to also consider the mechanics, type of game, and so on. So the prototyping is started, artists are working, then level, environment, and character designers come into play. We then have, of course, developers and testers. Each of this part is using different tools. Let's take, for example, designers. They will probably use Blender. To have a working texture painting, communication between Blender onto 3D models in Godot, you probably will rely on the plugin. So the thing is, I think game studios, the last part they would like to have is like having troubles with some third-party plugins that they are not working, and they need to fix it, fork the whole tool, and so on. So I think if this is a large game, AAA, AA, definitely you should use Unreal or even Unity, because the plugins there are they are longer on the market, so I guess they are much better. So let me tell you a short story. Maybe remember what issues CD Projekt Red had at the beginning of Cyberpunk: long loading, empty streets, and performance issues and bugs. And after 2 years, the game received much improvement. They have used their own engine called Red Engine, which was built for Witcher game series, which was a third-person game. And Cyberpunk is a first-person shooter, and they needed support for all generation for consoles and upcoming PS5 and Xbox series. They announced that they are dropping their own game engine, and they are developing a new Witcher game with Unreal 5. So that's an example of the big projects require more graphics possibilities and compatibility with some other tools. And in game dev world, Godot is still more suitable for two-dimensional games. They improved a lot of 3D features in version 4, but still it does not support same stuff which Unreal does. Okay, so I talked about advantages and about game engine itself. Then next thing we need to mention are plugins. Godot has some built-in plugins for iOS, for example, including StoreKit, Game Center, ARKit, and even Photo Picker. This means that you can use it just by calling a singleton. I mean, it's very simple. And Godot is well documented on this topic. Yeah, so this is like all plugins which are in the Godot game editor, and you can just enable it and use it in your game. Okay, sometimes we have to attach some third-party libraries. Let's say, for example, analytics. If you want to use your own plugin, you have to do more magic. It's maybe not so simple like as in Flutter. You have two following requirements. And from what I have read from the documentation, Godot requires you to use, of course, Xcode, but for us, it's fine. I mean, for iOS development. But unfortunately, officially in the docs, they require Objective-C. But I have found on the forums that people were able to use also Swift, but it required even more tweaks. Since March 2023, they support ARKit. And also this year, they announced that Meta will be funding a group of Godot veterans to improve support for OpenXR. And this April, Meta also announced opening their headset system, which is called Horizon OS, to other producers. Given those circumstances, I think also for VR and AR game, this engine will be a good fit. And by the way, I'm preparing a new game, which is a low poly game in VR. So if someone would like to, after party, talk about it, just ping me. Okay, so this is a Godot editor, and one information that the Godot editor itself is also using a game engine, Godot. So if you have ever tried Unity, the scene, the nodes, the system is very similar, and I guess it's very intuitive. Yeah, so in Godot, we can use C# or C++, but there is also a designed especially for this GD script. Here we can see how does it look, and I think it's very similar to Python. In my opinion, Swift devs and Kotlin devs should not find any larger issues using that language. It's also well documented. Okay, before we jump into last topic, I have a bonus for you. We all appreciated the presentation, like me talking, presenting some tech stuff. But let's be honest, the best juice is the live coding. So today, I want to show you an interesting case. I'm a solo game developer, but when creating the game at some point, I need some 3D assets. For example, environment stuff like trees, rocks, buildings, etc. So I could buy some online assets, which usually happen. I can also pay some 3D artist to prepare it for me. Then, of course, I can just learn using Blender and become a novice artist. But there is a new way, which is kind of a new in the market, I guess. 1 year ago, there was a science paper about Gaussian splats, a new technique for 3D reconstruction. I mean, the algorithm itself was known for the decades, but it was using so much VRAM that nowadays it's possible to train using Gaussian splats and have a nice 3D scans from images. And there is a free app called Luma, which does exactly this. It's very similar to our app, Teleport. You capture an object or a scene using your phone, and then the training process takes place. And if the light conditions are fine and you have made captures from all angles, the final results are astonishing. You can see here how the app works. So you need to scan it from all angles, and you need to have 3 different levels: top, middle, and bottom. And yeah, then all images are sent to the backend, and it just translates into the 3D. Okay, so give me a moment, and I will switch to Godot game editor. Okay, so in April, I was in China, and I have took some 3D scans, and so this is Luma capture, and yeah, as you can see, there are some artifacts, but it's not so simple in China to capture something without crowd. So yeah, this is just a simple pod, and you can download it. And yeah, I think so I have a game. Maybe I should start from this. Yeah, okay, it's a shooter. Yeah, it's called Robo Rampage. Yeah, so I can walk here. Yeah, there is an enemy. It punches me. I kill it. So what I want to do is, you can see here, it's those are very simple objects, and I want to do something better. So I will download from the Luma Labs GLT file. I can select different polygon quality. Maybe for the best would be just test it in low poly. So I have prepared here a pod GLB file. I think Godot like it a lot. And yes, so I will create a new folder. Let's call it obstacles. Okay, and I will drag and drop. Let's see if this will work. Okay, so looks like, yeah, it imported the whole textures. You see, it's not perfect. It could be smoother in Blender, for example. But for testing purposes and kind of, proof of concept, I think it's fine. So I will just create here. Let's do it this way. Create new scene. It will be a 3D scene, and I will call it pod. So in the pod, I will move mine pod. Yeah, so you can see it's already here. Let's move it a bit. Yeah. And yeah, basically, let's save it. And in the sandbox, I will just put it here. So I will instantiate a new child scene. Let's pick a pod. Yeah, and move it somewhere. Here maybe. Okay. Let's run the game. Okay, so I'm back in China. And yeah, looks like the enemy is, yeah. But you saw the issue. So the collision shape was not done. So basically, I can go through this. I think it's very similar, typical in games, right? The testers are like testing all walls if anything like this can happen. So what we can do? First of all, we need to change the type, because Node 3D is like a typical stuff in Godot. So we want to change it to, for example, to static body. Let's change it. And what is happening is right now, it requires a collision shape 3D, which we indeed need. So I can select my pod, create new inherited, and then I need to, so I will remove the GLB. Whoa. Okay, so let's move it a bit. So basically, I didn't want to have the node under the another node. I want to have a mesh directly under the static body. So then I have this magical option here to create a single convex collision sibling. As you can see, it just covers the whole mesh, which was created by the Luma. Now it's in the game. And I have added a collision here with just one click. So let's save it. It should update the sandbox already. Let's run it and see. Let's see if the enemy. Okay. Okay, too many polygons probably. Let's just kill it. Yeah, but as you can see, probably I'm printing something from the enemy position, what is colliding with, and that's probably this performance lag. But as you can see, I cannot enter into that pod. So yeah, I just wanted to share with you that you don't have to like work with some simple blocks. You can always use this capture in, for example, this desk, this even scene, put it into the game, and have fun. All right, so I guess we can go back. Okay, so let's move on and talk about success stories. This is a Brotato game. You went down. Okay, maybe we don't need a sound. It's very similar to Vampire Survivors, and it's a roguelike from 2022, fully written in Godot. Yeah, there is also another game. Does it work? Yeah. Sonic Colors Ultimate. Maybe kind of surprising, seeing here not an indie game, because let's be honest that Godot is usually used for indie games. And indeed, the game used two engines, in fact. One is Hedgehog, and that game engine was just an original one. They use it everywhere in the Sonic games. So they used Godot only for graphic part. But I was surprised a bit that this game was done in Godot. Yeah, so many others. Those are just all in 2023. And actually, they have on their website a section, showcase, where you can watch gameplays from those games and so on. And I guess it's also a good place to advertise your game. So as a conclusion, Godot is a robust, free, and lightweight game engine, which you can start using on your machine. It doesn't require so much effort if you're already familiar with Node scene editors. GDScript, as I show you, it was very similar to Python. So I think for Swift Kotlin developers, it should be easy to learn. And it's the last presentation before closing keynote. So I would like to also say one quote from famous American writer Maya Angelou. People will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Merci beaucoup. So I guess we can go to questions. I have some questions also if you... Okay, we have one.
Thank you for the presentation. I saw some Swift bindings for Godot. Have you tried it?
Did I try plugins or?
It's I don't know. Swift Godot.
Swift Godot? No.
Okay.
No. Is it like the game engine, but you can use Swift, right? Or
yeah.
Okay, no. I like stick to GDScript because I think a lot of like documentation is just written in GDScript, so it's much easier to find what you need.
Okay, thank you.
But I will check it. I mean, haven't heard of it, so.
Any other question? No.
Hello. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Hello.
You say that Godot is free, like even for the big companies.
Yes, it's like fully free. It's an open source, so they will not charge you of anything. The only thing you cannot do is say that you have created that Godot, because it's an open source. So
you have to mention it.
You don't have to even mention it, but you cannot say that you are the creator of Godot game engine. But yeah, basically that would be.
And another question, if you don't mind. Now that Unity has the rollback, that tested from the fact that they make everyone pay
Yes,
So will you recommend using Godot or Unity, knowing that Unity, I think it may be more powerful now?
Yes, of course. I would love to use Unity, but I guess what I'm in the few Facebook groups for game devs, and looks like after that decision, even if they roll back and decide, okay, this is not the good business model, we need to change it. So they are still like in the head, so they can do something like this. So they already like lost the audience. And yeah, I remember that I have used 3 years ago Unity. It was like 5 GB of like downloading. The installer was very light, but the whole game engine to work with was like 6 GB, and now it's 12. Yeah, so it's it's of course powerful, but Godot is much more lightweight. So I guess you can work even on this. You don't need to have a powerful machine, right, to develop.
Okay, so this means your game is lighter using Godot? Like
Well,
build?
that hard to say, because if you start to use some advanced gravity, for example, or any other stuff, right? I think Godot will also suffer from it, because it's not so developed like the Unity. They are just less on the market, and Unity is a company, so they have like workers who will develop something there, and they have money from it. And Godot is open source, so it's like fully rely on public. So it, as I said, it's more. If you take a closer look at the indie games, usually two-dimensional is Godot. 3D is a bit experimental. They started to, like, if you check on the Udemy, if you type Godot tutorial or something like this, 3D tutorials are more for like version 4. So they don't really like create even tutorials for free or lower version, because it was so dumb. Yeah. But since Godot 4, a lot for 3D features were introduced. But also it's with this open source stuff, it's sometimes risky that you will use, for example, path follow. It is a component in Godot, and they will not mention that they have not updated it for, I don't know, 6 years, and they will not tag it as a deprecated. I think it is a common thing in every open source that they can just have some breaking changes, and Unity must like care more about the clients. They cannot do some breaking. Of course they can, but not so many like in Godot 3 to 4. It was a disaster from what I have learned. Like switching, moving, I know half of the code on yellow as a warning that it's already obsolete. Yeah, you don't like it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other question? No.
I have one to myself. Like, I was prepared if no one will just ask any question. So maybe someone would like to know where you should search for any tutorials. And to be honest, I started with just the documentation, downloading some example game. But I think on Udemy there is a game dev author, and they created a lot of nice Blender and Godot 4 tutorials. So I would recommend going to Udemy and just check their work. And they also like updated to the last version of the Godot. Yeah, I will just leave it here. So if you want to stay in touch with me, I will probably post in future some let's say motivational steps creating my VR game. Okay, so I don't know if are there any more questions maybe regarding.
IT can solve any maps for.
Oh, okay. So yeah,
Famous.
probably. Yeah. Sorry for that. You need to type it manually.
Okay. Are we good? All right, thank you.
Thank you.